Alright guys, so we cut the fence because these vines are going crazy, but we're in the squash garden. This is gonna be an adventure. It's a jungle in there. I haven't been in here to really look at what's been growing, so we're gonna go in, check how everything's doing. The plants have grown through the fence, so I can no longer get into my original entrance. So we had to cut the fence in the corner that didn't have a ton of growth. But let's walk through here, see what we can find and harvest, because I saw a couple squash in here that I know we can have for now. But let's check on the production and how all of the plants are doing. So in here I planted a variety of melons, squash, gourds. I planted nasturtium and marigolds as well. But I have a range of pumpkins from decorative to edible. I have some Atlantic giant pumpkins, which are down here. This is what's growing through my entrance. So I can't get in there anymore. But I also have cantaloupe and watermelon, tromboncino squash, butternut squash, spaghetti squash, a whole bunch of stuff. So far, I found the butternut squash, which these can sit out in the sun. I wanted to grab them now before I forgot where they were and they got rotten, because I'm finding a couple squash in there that I didn't grab in time and they went rotten. And then I also have one of these tiny pumpkins. I forget the name of these ones. If I remember, I'll pop it up, but these are a decorative variety, so super cute. But I've got a lot of those in there as well, but I don't really want to harvest these yet because these are for decoration and it's only August. So we'll probably just keep those on the vine and see if they, stay salvageable. But in here, I'm going to try not to crush everything, but right here is an acorn squash. And this one's looking pretty big. Over here, there's a little sugar baby watermelon. We also have some large looking tromboncino squash, trombone squash. If you haven't grown these, chickens love them. So that's kind of why I grow these, because the animals really like to eat them. And they're super good to eat as well for yourself, but I grow them for the animals. They really like these. Oh, there's a really big one over here. Look at that. Here ups all the way down around. That's crazy. That's like an actual trombone. Jeez. I'll have to pull that one off when it's riper than what it is. This one went rotten on the vine. That's nasty. Ew. More trombone. You can see a lot of these got those pesky squash beetles, which you can see those in there. A lot of pests, and I think that's why this area looks the way it does. I also, obviously, it's a jungle in here. I haven't weeded. Majority of the time, these just take over and they work as a ground cover, but they didn't really keep out the weeds as much this year, so oh well. We're still getting some stuff. Now here's a good looking pumpkin. I think this is one of the decorative ones that I grew. This is really pretty. It's a flat one. So I'm really excited about these. There's a couple more down here that I saw. Yeah, right in here. So here's one of those. It's got a lot of flowers and stuff on it, but here's another one of those pumpkins. Oh my gosh, and over here, so I grew these pinkish ones, but I also grew, look at that. It's one of those, I think it was like a Ghirardelli pumpkin. So it's like the teal and the blue color. I love it. That is so cool. I'm so happy that I actually got one. This squash, butternut squash, is growing through the fence, so that's permanently stuck there. Unless I cut the fence, but I really don't want to do that. So here's those little decorative ones that I showed you before. There's that. And right here, I think these are the These is the Baby Boo. I mean, those are super cute as well. I think next time when I'm growing stuff like these for decoration, I need to put the plant in a little bit later so we can have these to save for actual like selling purposes, because as it stands right now, nobody's going to want to set this stuff on their porch or anything as decoration. You can't eat it because it's a decorative variety. I mean, you probably could, but pumpkins like this just aren't as good as like the ones that are literally for eating. They're just not as good. So, but we've got lots of decorative pumpkins in here and I'm super happy about it. I really want to know how many watermelon I'll get and if I'll get any like decent sized ones. If we go back here, there's a cantaloupe. Well, there was. Something ate it. I think there's another one over here that, oh no, something ate it too. Darn it. Looks like a good cantaloupe. Hey, chickies. Chickies. Beaker will eat anything. She's such a curious little hen. Beaker had to come check out all the squash. Go, I don't want you eating this stuff. Did you eat the cantaloupe that I gave you? That you could have. But don't come over here and invade my space and start eating my squash. Jeez. I'm gonna close the fence so she doesn't come in because these chickens in here, they're gonna stink and demolish this place. If she sees that I'm going in here, she'll find it later. These chickens aren't dumb. They're really not. They'll come back to this every single day and they'll start dusting here. And once they start dusting, that's like the end of the squash garden. So we do not, that's why we had the fence up, because last year they destroyed it whenever our produce actually started getting going. And the plants were still spaced out, but it was enough space that they just went in and destroyed everything. So, well, that's a big one. Another trombone. These could sit out in the sun a little bit, but it's just for the birds, so I'm not too worried about it. But pretty big trombone squash. Put that in the pile of collected things. I'm disappointed. I did plant spaghetti squash in here, and I'm not seeing any. If I am, they don't look like normal spaghetti squash. Like, here, look at this. So when I Google searched this, it said it was a spaghetti squash, but that is just way too round and yellow for a spaghetti squash. See this down here, that right there, that's a spaghetti squash. It's not yellow yet, but that's a spaghetti squash. That's the size it should be. That's not. So I'm wondering if this is the Atlantic pumpkins. But then again, the Atlantic pumpkins aren't that color. But they could start as that shape. I don't know. I've been harvesting them. And I can show you that, but I've been harvesting them like that. Oh, there's a Baby Boo. I've been harvesting them like that because I don't want them to go to waste because they look like they're finished. Look at this, they're coming out of the fence. Oh my gosh. It's like this is the main garden, but then it's like the second squash garden. You gotta root through everything. See, we have a lot of these. I really want to sell them. Next month. I'm sure this all will last long enough. That there is a acorn squash. It looks pretty good. So all the plants don't look the healthiest. I prefer a lot healthier plants, but whenever you have it like this, it's not going to be a healthy scenario. But this is it is a good setup for the squash just to go crazy. I do like it back here, but I think next year I want to do less plants, because if I remember properly, it was a 4x4 setup. And so I think I had 16 beds. And the beds are only, if you look right here, they're only spaced, the mounds are only about a foot apart. So there's like 16 different beds of multiple different species of squash and gourds and melons. But each mound had about 3 plants in it, just to make sure that they would grow. So it's not the healthiest scenario. Not a lot of my garden stuff did great this year. And I'm really disappointed with all of it, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where you learn from previous things that you've done with all of your plants and your spaces. So this is a learning curve for sure. It just stinks because it plays a part in our harvest. Having this now as an issue, last year it worked pretty good. I have a video on it and you guys blew it up. It's like one of my biggest videos. It's about pruning your squash plants. And you guys saw how big my squash garden was. It did a lot better than this. I haven't pruned this. Oh, maybe I did. Maybe I did go through. I don't think I did. I did. Slightly. Not as hard a pruning as I did last year, because there were tons of leaves, and my issue is there was more leaves and the plants, the actual produce was not ripening. That was my issue. But we got, oh my gosh, I've never gotten so many squash ever. And so that's why I did this back here again, because I wanted to redo what I did last year. But not all years are the same. Every gardening year is different. You'll find that, and you'll figure it out the more you garden. So this year, it's just one of those things where you learn from your mistakes and you keep trying to do better. Next year I'm going to space out my plants more, and I'm not going to do some of these varieties. But I got to experiment with some new stuff, which I really like, all of these decorative pumpkins. Also, that's another thing we just learned. Because I'm already harvesting stuff now, it's not that time of year when you can be selling. That was kind of an oopsie. I could have had plants started, instead of having the squash and gourd starting in April, I probably could have waited till June to get my plants like actually started, and then had them growing, and then they would have been ready by October, because realistically nobody's putting pumpkins on their porch in September. It's only October and November, because those are, I don't know, why do people put pumpkins on their porch? I don't know, it's just what people do. So if you want to grow pumpkins for people's porches, those are some really cool varieties. I don't really remember what the names are. I think I grew like 4 different kinds, so if I remember, I'll put them on the side here. I'm sure I have a picture or the packet somewhere. I can share that with you guys. But anyway, that is my squash garden. It's a jungle, not even a squash garden anymore. It's just a jungle. But anyway, harvest, not as much as I'd like. But it's only August. We still have about a month left before we really are done for the season. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoy like these vlog style things. I don't know. I don't have to do tutorials all the time. I can just bring you guys along for whatever I get into, because we get into a lot of crazy stuff here. So stick around, because we do a lot. You know, my motto is we do a little bit of everything around here, but overall we have a good time. So I hope you guys stick around for that. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.